Welcome back everyone to episode 3 of our survival let's play series. In the previous episode we had talked about building a structure right here behind me to create a storage facility, probably a item sorter. But I think we're going to switch it up this episode, and I would like to take these trees out. There is a mountain right here behind me, not quite a mountain but pretty big hill. And I think what I want to do is take that back, level it out just a little bit, and I want to put a big wheat field in this area in the back corner, and possibly add maybe a windmill and some other details, just to give the area a little bit more structure, a little bit more character. Right now, you know, as I scroll around, we've got some farms and we've got the main building, but that's really it. And I kind of want to give a little bit more to this area before we start moving on down the path to another area. I do have some plans further on down the road that I'd like to get done. And by down the road, I mean in time, and also down this little path right here. So I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get ready to jump into that. But before we do that, there's one thing we're definitely missing. So we need to come on over. Do I even have the materials? I do not. Let me grab some materials real quick. And as I do, we'll go ahead and discuss a little bit about this episode. So as I said, I want to do a wheat field and probably a windmill in this general area. I'd also like to get some sort of a crafting area, kind of where we can do crafting and our enchanting and things like that. So I think somewhere down this path in this general area, we've got the mines over there, and I think just past the mines is where I'd like to create something, kind of a little area where we can build a structure that is used for crafting, and we'll keep all of our enchanted stuff there where everything will be intact right where we need it when we need it. So for this we're going to need one lever. Let's grab that. We'll put this back where we got it, and we'll run down here. As you can see, I still haven't done too much to the interior of this house. I still want to try and get a bunch of leather and everything to decorate it, give some posters, and probably put in a few more shelves and a little bit of work to the ceiling, but I am saving the leather for our adventure today with trying to get all the bookshelves and everything built. But I think maybe up here. We'll do it up here. So we're going to jump up here, and we're going to throw a lever down, and this is going to be the area that we're working in, and there's that hill that we're talking about there. Possibly try to put the windmill maybe right there. I'd also like to maybe incorporate some sort of a waterfall. Again, I love water features like this. It just gives a little bit more depth and a little bit more character to the area than just, you know, a flat ground. I'd never really like to try and build just a flat area. I always try to raise it up and kind of work it in, so you have different heights, different levels to catch your eye. But for that, I think what we'll do is we're going to flip this lever and we're going to go into super fast build mode. Ready? Here we go. Alright everybody, and welcome back from that time lapse. I know these time lapses do seem a bit long in this episode, but it does take a few days to get all this stuff done. What you just saw was actually about 3 days worth of work. And I'm trying to cut it down as much as I can, but I want to include some of the major parts to show the build process and how everything's being created. As you can see, we're at our mines right now, and like I said, I want to take a little bit of a break and kind of show you what we've got planned later on in the episode for the enchanting area. So I've worked on this path a little bit, and as usual, I try to make everything look like it's grown up and been here for a while and established. And as you can see, that path continues right on there, and let's show you what we've got planned. Alright everybody, and welcome back. As you can see, this path just continues right on through the forest, and I've added little touches that I'd like to point out. So as you can see right down there in the mining area, that very last post for the light, it has no moss on it, and it's fairly clean. And then as you travel further and further into the forest, the moss seems to grow just a little bit more. And that's due to the fact that once you get closer to these establishments and situations where people are going to be living and they've settled in, they're going to take care of the areas and make sure that they're not overgrown. But as you continue through the forest, deeper and deeper you go, there's no one to maintain it. So the moss kind of takes over and nature kind of finds a way to regrow and establish itself. So we're going to continue on down this path, and I'd like to show you the area that I've picked out, and I've done a little bit of work too for our enchanting area. So let's go ahead and head down this way. So as you can see, the path just continues on. I've created this little cave-like area. This did stop right about here. It was just a flat end of a hill, and what I did was I carried that on right on over and just kind of created this little atmosphere. So as you're walking down the path, you enter through this little cave. We've got the vines and different little touches, just the lanterns with the chains on them, just to add a little bit more of a feel as you walk through. That's not supposed to be there. And we've got a little bit of a crack in the wall where some water has finally made its way through. And as you continue down here, what we're going to do is we're going to take this little pond. I built this little pond to try to make where it made sense that the water would, if the water was creeping through the cracks of this cave, it would have to find somewhere to go eventually. So it leads on out and then it ends up here. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to build a house in this general area right here. Probably incorporate maybe a water mill or something. I might extend this out just a little bit so that the size and dimensions would be proper for what I'm trying to do. But I would like for, as you come down this path, we've got a nice little house here. It's going to be fairly large, not quite as large as our starter base over there, but I do want to have enough room to incorporate storage and a good area for our enchanting rooms and things like that, decorations and such. So a lot of these trees are probably going to come out, and like I say, it'll just be a nice little structure. We'll have a little path leading up to it. And it's really not that far from the mining area. All these structures are going to be relatively close for convenience, and also, if you were living in an area like this and there was a structure here that was going to be used primarily, most of the time for the people, such as, basically kind of be like a learning center or something like that. You'd want it closer to all the other structures. You want to be able to get your materials that the mine is producing to build these things. They've got, they're grabbing the stone and all that kind of minerals and resources out of there. So you wouldn't really want to haul it too far to build your home and your structures for, a standard civilization. So we're going to add that structure right here. And as we come along, now this will be most likely, I'd like to get this in the next episode, but I wanted to go ahead and show you kind of our plans as we move further. So as we come down, you remember that I had talked about a village, right? There was a village back here that I'd found, and I was a little upset because I wanted to put a villager breeder back here because it was a really nice area. And then of course we had 2 villages over there, and then there's another village over there, and I actually had to go out and get some resources for the current build that we're doing, which we'll see shortly. So I had to go out and find a jungle and everything. So I actually found there's another village not too far right over there, maybe about, I'd say 500 blocks that way. So what we're going to do probably in the next episode, and this is probably going to roll into the next couple episodes because it's quite a large build, and anybody that's ever messed with villagers knows it's a headache. I mean, it's every Minecrafter's worst nightmare is to have to deal with villagers, but at some point you've got to really get a villager trading hall established to progress with the game fairly well. So I think what I would like to do is I'd like to take a bunch of these trees out, of course, and we're going to do a little bit of work. No. We're going to do a little bit of work to the terrain. Try to level this out just a little bit so it's just not so complicated to get through here. It does, again, have one of these nether portals, the Broken Ruins. I've looked into it since the first episode and been watching a little bit of Hermitcraft, so I have seen the spoilers for all of this. We have I believe the Crying Obsidian up there, the gold blocks and everything that I'm going to have to grab. But we're going to incorporate this into the build as well. But I like this area because it is enclosed in these mountains. If I hop up here on one of these trees, let's just do this. We'll just create our own little walkway up here. So if I hop up on these trees right here, you can see that, I mean, it is encased in a mountain here, and we've got this mountain here. So it's really interesting how you've got the mountains on all sides, and it's just like this little valley. And I kind of want to play off on that as we go further. I believe, and I really hate to do this, but I'm going to build our villager breeder here. I hate building a villager breeder in a village, but we're just going to have to kind of do with it. We're going to have to work with what we've got for now. So again, I'm going to restructure a few of these houses, probably not too much. I'm going to keep them mostly the same as they were naturally generated. But I do want to create a little bit of variety to them, rough them up a little bit, maybe add like some mossy stone and stuff like that, make them look like, again, they've been established here for quite a while. And I'm going to build in this general area, most likely right behind this portal is where I'm going to build the villager breeder. And it's going to try to incorporate the same style that all these houses have, but it's just going to be on a larger scale. But as you can see, I mean, there's houses spread all over the hills here. So it's going to be interesting, adding in the pathways and the making it look like it flows really well. And that's a lot of the challenges when you're dealing with anything like this is, like, see this is just, why would anybody naturally want to build anything in a hole like this? So again, we're going to have to, work on stuff like that, and it's going to be at least the next 3 or 4 episodes we're going to be working here in the village. But it's exciting because it leads to the progression of this series. This is kind of like one of them big turning points where I've got a storyline involved and I really want to get into it. But before we can really get into the storyline, the basics have to be made. So we have to create an established base of, just so we can get our resources that we need, our tools that we need to make the building process go by a little bit faster. As you can see with this build over here that I'm doing now, it is taking forever, and that's because I'm working with iron tools and no enchantments, and it gets a little time consuming after a while. So that's the plan for that. We're gonna jump back into another super fast build mode. I don't have a lever or a button with me, so to activate super fast build mode, we're just going to go old school and plop a torch down. So with that, I guess we'll enter super fast build mode. We'll get this one finished up, and then we'll come back, and what I'll probably do is I'll go ahead and build the enchanting area off camera just to save a little bit of time, and then I'll come back and I'll show you everything that we've got going. So with that, let's enter super fast torch build mode. Alright guys, and welcome back. As you can see, we're finished with our project here, and it's really looking amazing. It's exactly what we were kind of going for in this area. So, you get a nice splash of color down at the bottom, and then your eye slowly draws up to that beautiful windmill up there on that hill. And it just is a nice backdrop for the area. So if we come on down here, I've also extended this path, and as you're anywhere in this area right here, just a random block, Enderman. So anywhere in this area, it's just your eye draws to this area right here. And it really settles in well with the overall look of, just a nice little farming area. But when we go up here, I'll show you some of the details that I've incorporated into this build particularly. So we'll come up the path, and as you come through this wheat field, there has to be a way, right? There has to be a way to get from here to there. And it's got to be interesting. You don't want to just walk around and then go up to the windmill. It's got to really pull you into the feeling of the area. You want to feel like this is part of the design. So you'll come through here. We've added a bunch of pathways actually through this wheat field. And here and there, I've added a few of these little scarecrows. We've got to keep the crows and everything out of the field. So we've got one here, and then there's another one right there, and another one down in there. But it's just little details like that add to the feeling of being immersed into this area. We've also put in a nice little bridge over the river here. Again, adding some little touches, little grass here and there that's popped up into the field. Really kind of, you don't notice it, but your eye still draws to it without even realizing it. As we'll continue down the path here, I've built this little staircase right here up to the windmill, and I'm just going to hop off right here so we can kind of get a good look at the windmill from down below, because there's so much detail in this. Now the design itself I can't take credit for. This is actually designed by Mr. Merritt, and I'll leave a link in the description for this windmill build. I was looking for inspiration on building my own windmill. I kind of wanted to, there was another design I wanted to go with that I thought would look really good in this area. But I came across this video, and it was absolutely perfect. It fit so well. And I had to go find a jungle to get all this scaffolding here. And you'll probably notice in the time lapse that, I did not use any scaffolding going up and down trying to get this thing built. And that's because when I went to the jungle, which is a good little bit of ways that way, I crafted exactly what I needed to build this windmill, and did not leave myself any extra to farm with or anything. So every bit of the bamboo that I had gotten from the jungle over there went into this, and I did not save a single piece. So I've got to go do another little journey that way, try to get me some more bamboo so we can add it to this. But when you're standing underneath this windmill, you can kind of feel the size and the strength of this structure, and it just looks amazing. The grindstones right there at the end, it's just little touches like that I really don't think that I would have thought of for my build. It's when you're dealing with master builders, this is kind of the kind of thing you come up with, and I definitely give credit where credit is due, because it just is right for this area. If we go inside, again, he's incorporated all of this stuff that's just, it just fits. So you've got the grindstone here. You'd put your wheat down here, and then this would go around and create your flour. Then you have the shaft that goes all the way up to the top to connect to the windmill itself to turn everything. But just little levels and little floors. I'm thinking about putting some chests in here randomly, and store some wheat and things like that, and maybe even some bread down below, because it falls in with the story so well. And the view, you can step out here and you can see there's the mines over there, and here's the wheat field over here, and you've got these nice views of the mountains on this side over here, and it works really, really well. Now I had talked about building the got lost there for a second. Building the enchanting area over in the corner back there next to the village. And I think what I'm going to do, because I'm running out of time for this episode, I'm going to go ahead and build that in between episodes, and then that way, once we come back, that'll be done. That's too much for me to deal with right now. Not next to the build. So let's draw these guys away, and we'll fight them over here, where if something bad happens, at least I won't be sad that everything exploded. But I'll go ahead and get that building finished up in that area in between episodes, and then when we come back in between episodes, I'll show you during episode 4. This is getting a little out of hand. I really need a bow. Oh goodness. Let's just go ahead and go back over here, and we'll sleep and get rid of these guys the easy way. Because I'm really not equipped for this. I got all my building materials with me, but not really anything to fight with. So as we sleep, I'll come back episode 4, and we'll go ahead and I'll show you that build over there, and we'll get started on that village project. And again, that project is going to take quite a while. I mean, we're going to be looking at probably at least maybe 3, possibly 4 episodes for the village project, just because it is a very large project, and it's really kind of a pain to do. You know, I mean, it's aggravating to mess with villagers and to get them where you need them to be, and to breed them up and everything. But you know, once it's done, it's definitely worth the aggravation, because the stuff that you can get out of it is so much better. You know, we can definitely use it for our levels, to upgrade all of our equipment, and it's going to be really nice. Also getting that nether portal going, so we can go ahead and get into the nether and get some of these new blocks. You know, I'm excited to build with some of these new blocks and use some of these new items. Again, I want to incorporate that into the story that we're going to be trying to do in this episode, in this series. Not in this episode, but in this series. And you know, want to slowly progress into it. It's going to be a very long series. From what I've got planned, it's going to take quite a while to get through all of this, but it's going to be a journey. You know, it's going to be a journey. We're going to do it together, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting. There's a lot of stuff that's hopefully going to fall along with, you know, everybody's interest. I try to incorporate a little bit of building, a little bit of design. We're going to do some redstone work, trading with the villagers. So I kind of want to hit every little aspect as we go through here and there, of all the different, you know, things that everybody would be interested in Minecraft. You know, I mean, some people are builders, and some people are redstone geniuses, and that can work all this circuitry and stuff. I'm not. I mean, I can do basic redstone stuff, but I'm no mumbo jumbo or anything like that, you know. But I mean, I can get us through with the redstone and stuff. Primarily, I prefer to build. Building is really what I enjoy the most. And creating, you know, atmospheres in areas like this. But it's definitely going to be a journey, and we'll continue with it in the next episode. I'm going to go ahead and in this one here, I'll get started on that build over there, and then when I come back, I will show you everything that we've got, and I'll have probably a good plan figured out for the village area of where I want to do all the houses and everything. So with that, we're going to end this episode. If you liked this episode, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, hit that bell for notifications, and I will catch you guys in the next episode.